Hey y'all, I'm Janice Levine and welcome back to Jen on Books. So today I'm going to be doing my review of the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan, which includes Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. So if you're wondering how I got the arc of This Could Be Us, a while back, Kennedy Ryan announced on TikTok that NetGalley.com was going to be doing 24 hours only of a read now for the e-arc of This Could Be Us. So I jumped on that like so fast because I knew that based on how I felt about Before I Let Go, that I really wanted to read This Could Be Us, and I did not want to wait until March because, as we all know, This Could Be Us officially drops, I want to say, the end of March. But yeah, I wasn't having it. I needed to get my read on now, and that's what I did. So like I do with all of my reviews, I'm going to be sharing with you all the things that I liked, the things that I did not like. I'm going to be reading to you my Goodreads review that I actually wrote, but I'm also going to share with you my dream cast for the main characters of Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us, because if you did not know, Kennedy Ryan is currently in the works of creating the Skyland series into a series. I believe it's going to be on Peacock, so I don't know when it's going to be released. Go to Kennedy Ryan's socials and you'll be able to see. Everybody and their mama has been talking about who they would like to see as the cast for these different characters throughout these books. And so I thought it would be cute and fun for me to share with you all who I envision as the cast for Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. So let's go ahead and get right into these reviews. 2023 introduced me to Kennedy Ryan, and I cannot be more happy. Before I Let Go was the very first Kennedy Ryan book that I had ever read. Sidebar, I actually listened to that. I got it on Audible and I listened to it, and it was just such a wonderful experience. To give some clarity on the Skyland series, the Skyland series highlights three women and they are friends. The first book highlights Yasmin and Before I Let Go. The second book highlights Soledad and This Could Be Us. And the third book, which is untitled, but I do know that it's coming in 2025 because I read This Could Be Us, is going to highlight Hendrix, the third woman in the friend group. So essentially, Before I Let Go covers the story of Yasmin and her husband, Josiah Wade. It's all about their love story, and we actually are introduced to them when they are divorced. There will be spoilers as well. Let me just say that before I go even deeper. There will be spoilers in these reviews because I just need to get it out and I can't be restricting myself. Before I Let Go follows Yasmin and Josiah Wade, and we meet them at a place where they are divorced. They are divorced because they lost a child. They do have two children, a boy and a girl, but they lost their third son, Henry. In the most tragic way ever, okay? But they have a business, a restaurant business together. And again, like I said, they have two other children, so they are always in close proximity with one another. And essentially, this story follows them on all the tension that they still have between them as they co-parent and as they co-own / run this business. It also highlights the story of Yasmin as she works through her emotions in therapy regarding the loss of their baby boy. And it also takes them through the therapy sessions of their son and eventually Josiah as well. So he is like many Black men, unfortunately, and he is very resistant towards therapy. But throughout this entire journey, he learns the benefits of therapy, right? Not just for himself, but for his son. And also he learns how and why Yasmin needed to break away to regather herself and go to therapy and get back herself, really, because she just completely lost herself in the loss of their baby boy. But there's some things that happens that is just like, what? So as we are like anxiously waiting to see if they're going to get back together, there's a little monkey wrench that is thrown in there. And that is the fact that, like I said, we are introduced to them when they are divorced. So they're divorced, I want to say like 2 years at this point where we're meeting them. And so Josiah is like, okay, so we're divorced. And he did not want the divorce, but she wanted the divorce and she needed it to regather herself. So he's like, okay, cool, I'm going to move on. And he decides to date. Child. He decided to date. And he didn't just decide to date, he decided to date the head chef at their co-owned restaurant. So let me just go ahead and start getting into some of the things that I loved about Before I Let Go. If you see me looking this way, it's because I'm looking at my computer because I had to write down notes, okay? So some of the things that I loved about Before I Let Go was that it was so relatable, specifically to me because I know what it's like to lose a child, and I know the toll that it takes on your marriage. To God be the glory, I did not divorce my husband. We did not have to go that far. And it's also relatable to me because I also started my therapy journey to work through my grief. So all of that, I just was like, girl, I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel appreciated. Okay. All of that was so relatable to me. And I absolutely loved that. Something else that I also loved was that, their love was so just genuine and pure. I loved the relationship that they had with one another when they were in love and when they were divorced. Like, it was very respectful for the most part. It was very respectful and mature. And I just thoroughly appreciated that. I said in a previous video that Kennedy Ryan writes grown woman fiction for grown women. I do not, again, think that I would be able to appreciate the different things that is going on in her books if I was not an adult. And so I really understood the nuance of the relationships. I understood Yasmin's need to like heal herself, okay? To really work through this grief and work through all the feelings that she's feeling, because losing a child is a loss that is like none other. It is so deep, especially when you are the one carrying the child, because it's just like, it's just so many feelings that you have, feelings of guilt, like it's so attached to you. So I felt that down in my spirit and in my soul. And I really, 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 really enjoyed that. Something else that I really enjoyed specifically about, well, not specifically about Before I Let Go, but about both of the books, honestly, was the friendships. Like, when Yasmin was going through it, Soledad and Hendrix was there, okay? And same for Soledad, but we'll get to that in a minute. The friend group was so relatable. It was so real. It was so grown. It was so good, okay? It was reciprocal, and it was just beautiful because they were there. They understood. You know, Hendrix had a couple of moments where, you know, she just kind of flies off at the mouth a little bit. But I feel like we all need a friend like that, though, right? A friend that's going to kind of like G-check you and be like, girl, stop playing. You know, sometimes say something a little outlandish to gather you together, okay? And Soledad was, in my opinion, the mom of the group, right? She was always just so, just so caring. It's just so sweet. And I thoroughly enjoyed reading about their friendship and how they showed up for one another. Now, I really don't have many things that I did not like about the book. Obviously, it was a 5-star for me because I would love to read this book again and again. It was just so good. But the one thing that I did not like about this book was Josiah's decision to date. It wasn't just his decision to date. It was the proximity of his new relationship that made me want to throw hands. I really felt some type of way about him dating the head chef of their restaurant because I'm like, sir, what? Like, I just feel like that was so disrespectful because, okay, y'all divorced or whatever, but did you really have to date somebody that is in such close proximity to your children? And obviously this whole breakup and the hurt and everything is still very fresh with the kids and everything. But so you chose to date somebody that is in close proximity of your children, which is, ma'am, no. And then you chose to date somebody that is in close proximity to the business that you still have with the ex-wife that you're obviously still in love with. What in the world? I thought that was so stupid and idiotic, and I hated that. However, I also understood why he would make that kind of a decision. I'm not giving it a pass, but I kind of feel like the decision to date someone in such close proximity to just his life and everything was also, in my opinion, a sign of his rejection to wanting to be divorced, right? So it's almost like a kid that has a tantrum. I kind of feel like that's what that relationship was with whatever old girl, whatever her name is. I could not stand old girl. Like, I could not. Ma'am, I just felt like she knew good and well that this man was still in love with his wife. Why then would you think that you had a chance to be with him? I didn't like it. I was so angry and so disgusted. But then again, that is Kennedy Ryan's writing, right? It is realistic, it is relatable, and I think that men and women make decisions like that all the time. Like, they don't want XYZ to happen, so they do something so obviously like ridiculous just to, I guess, kind of express that they don't want this to happen. You know, like, I hope that I'm explaining that right. Y'all let me know in the comments if that makes sense. But I feel like Josiah's decision to date this woman who sees your kids all the time. I'm really sensitive about children. Just don't. This woman sees your children all the time because they come in there to eat dinner like every day. She also sees your ex-wife all the time because she is still your business partner. I didn't like it. But again, that is very realistic. And I think people do those types of things all the time. I feel like people make those types of decisions all of the time. And it really complicates what you actually want, right? I feel like we could do a better job as human beings as a whole at communicating clearly what we want and what we don't want. And also being clear with ourselves so that we do not make decisions like temper tantrum decisions, like, oh, she broke up with me, she divorced me, so I'm gonna move on. But you didn't move on. You moved right into the restaurant. Like, what? Like, so these are my thoughts about Before I Let Go. It was, again, a grown, mature romance that was just so good and so realistic on so many levels. I'm so happy. Let me just say this. I am so happy at the progress that Josiah did make by the end of the book, at him going to therapy and seeing it as a resource and a tool rather than something that was going to make him appear weaker or less of a man. He became more of a man because he learned how to express his feelings and how to really ponder his own thoughts and ponder his own actions. And I love to see it. I love to see it. Black men elevating and growing and becoming better versions of themselves. And obviously at the end, they got it together, okay? And it was just so good to my soul. And I was so happy that they got together. And I was so happy that they actually went to the other location because, girl, she could have moved to Africa or somewhere. I just wanted her to go. So moving forward to This Could Be Us, shout out to Nat Galley again for allowing me to get the e-arc. So I did read that on my Kindle. And I have a little bit of mixed feelings about This Could Be Us. I did look at a lot of reviews of people that did get the e-arc, or some people got paperback arcs. I don't know how they did that, but God bless. But the majority of the reviews that I watched regarding This Could Be Us were just like rave reviews. They loved it. It was amazing. It was such a great love story. So I kind of feel a little bit like a jerk for not really agreeing. Let me just preface by saying it was not a bad book. It was not at all. I gave it 3.89. I know that's a weird rating, but it was not quite a 4 for me. But it was still good. It was still really, really, really good. So This Could Be Us follows the story of Soledad, and we were introduced to her in Before I Let Go, and we saw little glimpses of what may happen in This Could Be Us and Before I Let Go. Before I go any further, I do want to warn you. Again, there will be spoilers. If you have not read This Could Be Us, I need you to exit stage left because I'm going to be sharing some details that you're going to be upset about that I share because you haven't read it yet. Okay, now that everybody that wants to be in the room is in the room, let me move forward. This Could Be Us follows the story of Soledad and her toxic relationship with her ex, who will not be named. Her ex-husband was trash. He was so despicable. So within this story, oh my gosh. It was revealed that he had embezzled $6 million from his company. He was cheating on his wife. All of these things, right? And essentially everything hit the fan because a forensic accountant was hired within his company, and he started doing the research, and he started checking the receipts, and the numbers was coming up a little funny. And so essentially he reported to the company that this man is embezzling money and he needs to be investigated. And so that's what they did. He gets arrested, and oh my gosh, okay, foolishness ensues. Like, oh my gosh. So her husband, Soledad's husband, who I again will not be naming, gets arrested for embezzlement, and as a result, their assets are frozen, the bank accounts are frozen. Soledad is a stay-at-home mom, and so now she is struggling to be the sole breadwinner of their family while her husband is in jail. Now, to backtrack a little bit, at the annual holiday party, Soledad ends up meeting Judah Cross, who is the forensic accountant at her husband's job, who her husband cannot stand because he knows that this man is investigating him. And like a little spark happens, okay? They're like, they're kind of like feeling each other, but obviously she's in a trash marriage, and he doesn't realize that this is the wife of the man that he can't stand because her husband is a jerk, on top of the fact that he's embezzling $6 million. So a little spark flies between Soledad and Judah at this party, and then they recognize and realize who each other is. And so it's like, okay, bam, we're not going there. So after that is when everything hits the fan, and Soledad's husband gets thrown in jail. She is strapped for money. Her daughters go, two out of her 3 daughters go to this expensive school. And at this point, sis don't have no type of income. So she loses it because she finds out that not only is he was her husband cheating, but he also gave her an STD, honey. An STD. I promise you, when I read that part, I had to put the book down and literally scream, because I was like, I know you are lying. What? To add insult to injury, she also finds out later down in the book that this man has a child with the secretary that she suspected him of cheating with, and he consistently said he wasn't. Again, her husband, trash, which is why we are not mentioning his name. Soledad essentially snaps and goes crazy in his man cave, and starts destroying stuff. She ends up finding a flash drive which holds all the information about where he has put all this money that he has embezzled. And so she essentially takes the flash drive to Judah Cross, back to the company that her husband stole all the money from, and was like, look, I will give you this information so that you can properly have him prosecuted if you release my bank accounts and make sure that I have no dealings with this. I was not a part of this. Make sure that I'm good. So that's what he does. So they strike up this deal, and she gets away scot-free because she handed over this information, and they released her bank accounts and all that stuff. And they were able to recoup most, if not all, the money that her husband embezzled. So now we are following Soledad on her new life. She becomes a social media influencer because she is really, really good at homemaking and organizing her home and her life and her daughter's schedule. So she essentially takes those skills that she has and she puts them on social media, and she ends up having an amazing following. Sidebar, Hendrix is her social media manager, which I just thought was so cute, okay? So cute. Throughout this entire process, she runs into Judah at a couple of things around town, and he's secretly but not so secretly feeling her, okay? And she's secretly but not so secretly feeling him too, but it's weird, and it's like, I can't really do this, but I'm feeling you, but I can't. And so he's like doing things to support her business. He's going to her events that she is hosting surrounding her food and different things like that she showcases on social media. And he also gets her the job of catering the company that her husband stole the money from, catering their holiday party for the next year. And he does a really nice gesture of when she was like broke basically because her accounts were frozen. He does a really nice gesture of like buying her and her daughter's groceries. So he's like following her on socials, and she's going through this journey of rediscovering herself and loving herself, and he's following her and he's giving her space, and he's just like, I'm out here. If you're trying to get down, I'm out here, but I respect your space. And so we see this will they or won't they get together type of thing going on between them. And essentially by the end of the book, they do get together. Again, I thought it was a really good book. But here is what I did not like about it, and which is why I gave it a 3.89. While I really enjoyed the angst in between Soledad and Judah and just wondering, oh, are they going to get together or are they not? And also how Judah was just so good to her and respectful of her boundaries and what she wanted at that time, I also was cringing so hard at this love story because for me, it is not realistic. Yeah. I really feel like the proximity of her developing this relationship with Judah to the situation that happened with her husband was just, when I was dating, when I was done with somebody, I was done. Like, I'm not gonna date your friend or somebody that you work with. I want to wipe the slate clean. So I'm a little conflicted here because I love Judah. Judah was written so amazing. Sidebar, Judah was a divorcee and he had twins, boys who were autistic, and I loved the way Kennedy Ryan wrote about autism. I am somebody that knows nothing about autism. So I really felt like I learned a lot, and she wrote about it with such love and such care and such concern. It was just so good. Judah was a well-developed character. He was the bomb. Like, I feel like under another circumstance, Soledad and Judah would be perfect for each other. But it just kept nagging at my spirit that he was the man that discovered her husband's indiscretions and that they worked together to essentially get her husband thrown in jail. It just felt too complicated for me. And I do know that for some people, this is realistic. This piece right here, though, wasn't realistic for me. I don't care how attracted I was to this man. I don't care how much care and concern he showed. It would have been a no for me because I just do not want to be attached to anything from a demonic ex. Like, goodbye. And I know that that's not fair to good men like Judah, but I'm sorry. That's just how I'm built. I feel like in another universe, Judah and Soledad could have been amazing, right? They could have been, it was just, because they were so good, but under these circumstances, it just felt so cringe to me. So that was the one thing I really was not feeling about this book. Again, it's a conflict because I liked it, but I didn't like it. It was just, and I guess I would say the other thing, if this is a thing, that really kind of threw me off was I think I was thinking that This Could Be Us was going to be more of a love story between a man and a woman, where I felt like This Could Be Us was more of a love story with Soledad and herself, like rediscovering herself and learning to love herself again. The romance between Judah and Soledad was like, it was way into the second part of the book. So it was a slow burn, which is rightfully so because the circumstances did not lend itself to all of the romance and all the feels and all the keys. So I'm just very conflicted about the romance within this book. Again, I did not hate it. You did see sprinkles of Yaz and Hendrix in the book, which I loved. Again, the friendship. This friend group was written so good. Like, the way that they show up for each other is just magnetic and beautiful, and just, I need friends like that in my life. Okay, like that's what I'm gonna say about the friends. They were just amazing. The way that they showed up for Soledad, especially during the time when all of her money was just like, just frozen, and just everything was kind of like imploding on her. The way that they showed up, epic. The fact that Hendrix became her social media manager and was helping her get all these brand deals, loved it. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was expecting something different, and I didn't get that. And then it was the conflict of the love story between Judah and Soledad that really had me like, what? I mean, yes, but no, but what am I supposed to do with this? Okay, it was just so difficult. And then on top of that, one of Soledad's daughters, Inez, was convinced because of her father that Judah was the reason why he's going to jail and he's a liar. So this little girl had in her mind that this man broke up my family. And so now for Soledad to be with, it just felt too complicated and stressful. And I just feel like love shouldn't be like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on This Could Be Us. Again, let me say this too. Even though This Could Be Us did not meet my expectations, because Before I Let Go was just, I feel like in the grand scheme of the series, it's all necessary and good and it's all gonna come together. I'm not expecting anything from Hendrix's story, because This Could Be Us was like, okay. I had really, really, really high hopes, and I kind of got like shot down a little bit. So I am going in with a clean slate for Hendrix's story. I believe it's, again, like I said earlier, it's going to come out in 2025. And I'm just like, girl, I want to know now, but we shall see. Again, in the grand scheme of the series, I think that Soledad's story, even though it didn't meet my expectations, I think it's all going to come together amazingly. And I think that the theme of the Skyland series is sisterhood, friendship, and reciprocal relationships, because the way that these women show up for one another is beautiful. It is so good to my soul. It is so beautiful. And I thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. One last thing that I loved about this series was the fact that you can absolutely read This Could Be Us without reading Before I Let Go. I love that, because sometimes when you're like looking for a good book and you pick up a book and you read it and you realize, oh snap, this is a part of a series, you're like, oh, what's happening here, what's happening there? You don't get that at all with This Could Be Us. You can absolutely read it without feeling like you missed something from before. So I really, really love that. And again, I'm looking forward to Hendrix's story. I know it's going to be, again, I don't have any expectations, but I know it's going to be good, because Kennedy Ryan does not fail. Even when I had expectations of one thing and she wrote another, it was still amazing. It was still good. It was still relatable. It was just a piece of art. It was art. Now I'm going to go ahead and read my reviews that I actually wrote on Goodreads. If you're not following me on Goodreads, I will definitely link it down in the description, so you can go ahead and follow me and we can be friends over there. For whatever reason, I don't know, maybe I was just excited, but I completely forgot to write a review for Before I Let Go. So I don't have one for that, but I do have a review for This Could Be Us. My actual rating is 3.89, but I rounded up and I put the little emoji. Thank you, Nat Galley, for the digital arc of this book. Okay, so I had a night to sleep on it, and here are a few of my thoughts. First of all, I made the mistake of thinking this book would be like Before I Let Go, in the sense that the romance would be the main plot. It is not. The main plot is self-love, as opposed to the plot of Before I Let Go, which was romantic love between a man and a woman. There was a subplot of romantic love, but not as strong as I anticipated, which was both good and bad for me, which I explain. Kennedy Ryan writes grown women fiction for grown women. The things that happened in this book were so real, and I feel like if I read this as a teen, I wouldn't get or appreciate its themes. The romance portion of the book gave me the ick for most of the book because of the situation surrounding it and all of the elements that complicated it. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm feeling the romance of it all, but I do love Judah. He was a well-written character, and he showed up for Soledad beautifully. I cannot say that enough. He showed up beautifully. I know little to nothing about autism, and Kennedy Ryan really wrote about it in a way that educated with such grace and normality, and that was a big thing. Like, they really emphasized the normality of it, with Judah even questioning whether or not he was autistic, and I thought that was like really, really, really interesting. The ending was very interesting to me, and I kind of feel like there's more that can come through it, but I'm not sure if it will. And if you read this book, I think you would know what I'm talking about. I'll just leave it at that. Hendrix and Yasmin were present throughout the book, but there is still so much I do not know about Hendrix. I am definitely committed to this series, and I'm looking forward to Hendrix's story. I am not anticipating her story, though, however, to be a romance at all. I actually have no expectations except what was offered in the last two books. And if you read Before I Let Go, they already mentioned that Hendrix's mother is dealing with sickness. So they mentioned that again in this book. So that's the only thing that I'm anticipating being a major part of the story in Hendrix's book. Good book, just not what I expected, but still a realistic story that was deeply enjoyable and relatable. So that was all of my thoughts about the Skyland series so far. Now I want to share with you all a couple of picks that I have for people that could be within the Skyland series that's going to be premiering on Peacock sometime in hopefully the near future. So for Before I Let Go, I'm going to focus on Yasmin and Josiah as who I would like to be casted in these roles. And just so that you know, when I think about actors to play a role, I'm not solely committed on how they look. I'm also thinking about their acting chops, right? I'm thinking, could they make me believe that this is Yasmin or this is Josiah or this is Hendrix? That's what I'm primarily thinking about. So my pick for Yasmin Wade is one of my absolute faves. Okay, this girl has range and she's beautiful. And when I was reading Yasmin and the description of her, I was just like, Teyonah Parris. Like, nobody else could play this role. When they described how she looked, her hair, I was just like, okay, this is Teyonah Parris. That's what I was thinking the entire time. My pick for Josiah Wade, I kind of struggled with this for a while. I was thinking of a couple of different people, but as I was online looking around and having these conversations in book groups on Facebook, one name popped up, and when I looked at him and I remembered the work that I had seen him in, I was like, perfect. And that is McKinley Freeman. The latest thing that I saw him in was a series on Hulu called Reasonable Doubt, and he was so good. Now that I think about it and I think back about Josiah, McKinley Freeman is Josiah. So I'm gonna need whoever is casting for Before I Let Go, so please make sure you get Teyonah Parris and McKinley Freeman to play these roles, because I think they would do an amazing job. They're both incredible actors, and I would love to see their interpretations of these characters on screen. So my selections for This Could Be Us, I'm gonna start with Judah, because every time this man came on I felt like as I was reading his portion of the book, because you know something else that Kennedy Ryan does well is she does the dual POV. So as I was reading his POV, I heard this man's voice, I saw his face, I saw his mannerisms, and I just feel like Aldis Hodge is Judah Cross, like, period. Okay, I think he would bring this character to life so good. And just even the way that he looks, his build, he gives me kind of like, Aldis Hodge is just that dude. He has such amazing range. And I feel like he would give us a good, almost like nerdy kind of feel to Judah Cross, because he works with numbers, he's an accountant, and I feel like Aldis Hodge would give us all of those feels while simultaneously being attractive and just a beautiful man, and I'm here for it. So I think Aldis Hodge would be the #1 pick for Judah Cross. I would love to see him bring this character to life. Now for Soledad, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I really don't know many Afro-Latina actresses, so I picked this person basically on how she looked. I did feel like it was very important to actually have an Afro-Latina actress, because her culture and her heritage is all throughout this book, all in her recipes and just everything. It's a big deal within the relationship between her and her sisters, and you also see a reflection of that with her daughters. So it needs to be an Afro-Latina actress, and the actress that I came across was Sasha Mercy, and I loved her look for this because Soledad is young, like in spirit, but you know that she's a mature woman, and it has to be somebody that can look like they can be a mom of 3 girls, but also look and come across as young and spry. So I thought the look of this actress would be perfect. I have no idea what this woman has acted in. I've never seen her in anything, at least not that I can remember. But for the aesthetics of it all, I think that Sasha Mercy would be our Soledad. And as a bonus, I thought that I would give you all a suggestion for who I think would be a really, really great Hendrix. And for me, that is hands down Issa Rae. Like, as I'm reading the one-liners and the little slick, snarky things that Hendrix says throughout this series, I just kept hearing Issa Rae. Like, I just kept hearing Issa Rae. I kept seeing her, you know, in my mind, Hendrix is fashionable and she is up on what's going on in the world. She's up on social media. And she's also no nonsense and she is here to have a good time, honey. And I just feel like Issa Rae would play that role down, okay? I love me some Issa Rae. I remember her from Awkward Black Girl on YouTube. And she was just so funny. And I feel like Hendrix is like Issa Rae, right? I feel like Issa Rae will play Hendrix and give her those really good, funny one-liners. And she would also keep it real with her friends. Like, okay, girl, get your life. Your husband was trash. Like, goodbye. I think Issa Rae would do a really, really, really good job at bringing Hendrix to life. So this is my review for the Skyland series, including Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. Let me know in the comments below if you read both of these books and what you thought about my thoughts. And also let me know what you thought about my casting choices for the series. All right, so I love you guys. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.